When I thought about the future when I was younger, I feel like I didn't have one. I never had a girlfriend. People never liked me. It was because of my attitude. And my self-esteem was just super low. I said a few things like I want to die, and I have attempted suicide a lot, and it was because of my anger.
Some people that I've grew up with and I've had, like friendships with, I see them on the streets, I see them, doing drugs and looking for their next meal. Like, what would happen if I kept hanging out with them? I'll end up like them or, worse.
When they age out of child welfare, when they disrupted a foster placement or run away, they come to Daybreak seeking shelter, supports, and interventions.
Nick came to the shelter as a minor. He had a lot of conflict in his home with his dad and his stepmom.
I tried to run away. My dad had called the police, and this is an alternative. The more angry I was getting at home, the more I started to resent and started to do dumb stuff. When I first came here, I was smoking weed, I was smoking cigarettes, I was sneaking out of the house, I was cutting school. It had gotten to the point where the conflict was fairly constant. Just the smallest things could set me off. I was confrontational. I guess I would always have a chip on my shoulder waiting for somebody to knock it off. And I think a lot of that stemmed from just the frustration of life at home and, how miserable it was there.
I was in a domestic violence situation with my mother, and when I first came here, I just felt like, I had to grow up. And I had to face, what I was going through, and you don't have any parents telling you what to do. So I felt like, I had to make wise decisions. And Daybreak just helped me out with, figuring out what I want to do, which is business, and how I'm going to get there.
Looking at our approach is truly meeting their basic needs first, and then further assessing, hey, how do we implement services as far as housing and education and employment to wrap around that individual to kind of catapult them further.
Lindy's was fun. It was like a training job. It was good to get those skills in, answering the phone, then they have the cash register, and then you make dog treats. The dog treats are actually really good. You could eat them too. Like humans could eat them. They're like, they have gluten-free. Like, what dog needs gluten-free? But they have it, so.
It show you what you should do on a job, being on time, uniform, correct. It teaches you a lot, like measurements, social skills, things you should say in the workplace and things you should not say in the workplace. It taught me a lot.
So now I work at Corner Kitchen in the Oregon District. I really like it. They did interviews here actually, and I came downstairs to an employment room and they did interviews there, and I got the job on the spot.
They actually helped me out through it all, and that's when they got me into Wendy's, and I enjoyed it. And people was like, well, you cannot make a career out of Wendy's. I said, well, I just did. I mean, the right choices come with consequences, and that consequence was me being promoted and me being trained as a shift manager. So I am almost done with my training, and soon it'll be my shift.
It is really about changing people's lives and helping them see the world from a different perspective. They're used to having people yell and scream or respond in violence, so now we're helping develop those interpersonal skills so they can communicate with one another.
I think I was here about a week and a half, and returned home to get things transitioned over to my grandma's, and then continued to for about another year or so continued to come to counseling with Miss Ginger.
It took months. But I remember him coming to one of the sessions, and he said he was walking home after school, and there was a kid who followed him with a group of people, and the kid tried to get him to fight and even got in his space, violated his personal space, said some very derogatory terms towards Nick. And I asked him, I said, what did you do? He says, it was so hard. Like, it was so hard, Miss Ginger. He said, but I turned around and I walked away.
Miss Ginger in here, made enough of an impact that I can still remember, gosh, I was 16 when I was first here, and I'm 24 now, so I'm still using some of these tools. But there's still times, certain situations, especially going back talking to my dad. It's mostly, when me and my dad are getting into it, is I can just hear that little bell in my head with Miss Ginger. Don't get so mad, take another path. Just Miss Ginger helped me kind of get a sense of responsibility for myself.
She helped me out. They changed my whole life and my whole page on who I was, and my self-esteem was just very low as I was walking in, but now I'm like at a high self-esteem. I used to drink, I used to smoke a lot of pot, and they had taken me down that route. I didn't look back on it.
People drive by this place and, they see a sign on the front that says Daybreak, and, maybe the average person that knows nothing about it, sees business, When it rather, however I got here when I was young, even driving by it now, you see home, you don't see business, I don't come in here and see staff members. I come in here and see, friends, people that I know that, if it's 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm beside myself upset, that, I could call them. It's a really tight-knit family here, and I love it.
They really encouraged me. Daybreak really encouraged me, that I could do what I want to do. As long as I keep the, right mindset and strive for what I want to do.
I always thought there was nobody in the world who was positive, who would like give me their shoes off their feet for you to go get a job, or for you to walk to this place. I never had that. And when I finally realized and I understood why they were doing what they were doing, it's because they want to see us succeed. Like I never knew what love really was because I never had it. And I was like, man, this is what it feels like. This is what love feels like.